Okay, well, I'll call this meeting to order then for August the 9th. It's now 3 p.m. and going to do a little bit of a different acknowledgement today. So as opposed to a land acknowledgement, we're going to do a mort acknowledgement. So I just want to say how sorry we are to the McLeod family for hear about Norm's passing. And I know he was a long time employee of the town, I believe 37 years, is that correct? And he was certainly one of a kind. And I think it's so sad that should be celebrating his retirement this year as opposed to going through this. But certainly to all the staff, I know so many of you worked with him for such a long period of time. I know it's very difficult on all of you, and just want to pass on our condolences on behalf of council to the organization and his family. So we will move on to item 2.1. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? CO Becker?
Your Worship, 4.4, please. Federal Electoral District Redistribution Advocacy.
Okay, thank you. Can I please have someone make a motion that we accept the agenda as amended?
Mayor Barclay will make that motion.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Dunham. All in favor? Okay, and we'll just go into the minutes. 3.1, regular council meeting from July 25th. And if someone's ready, I'll have somebody please make a motion.
I'll move those minutes, Mayor Barclay.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Bates. All in favor? Okay, thank you. And we'll move on to 4.1 with the CAO report.
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. Just a few items for council's consideration. Information will come out to you probably through email on the August 29th strategic planning session that council acknowledged previous meeting. So we'll create some logistics for your consideration, and we'll send out through email, confirm likely at a upcoming meeting as well. Just wanted to give you a heads up on an upcoming engagement created by Varmi Energy we just want to make an announcement to you, council, for August 25th. It's a Thursday. Varmi Energy is going to be available to the community to talk about the letter of intent and the potential waste energy project or initiative that is being discussed regarding and including the community of Innisfil. Again, more specifics to come before you in the near future. I just want to make sure you have heard this from administration with more details to come. More details, more specific to the initiative, still through FOIP required. It will be talked with you, council, in camera. And that's really it. I had a couple days off last week for family matters, family celebration, and certainly available for any other questions for operations administration that council may have. Thank you.
Could I please have someone make a motion to accept the CO report as presented?
I'll make that motion, Mayor Barclay.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions, comments to CO Becker? No? Okay, all in favor then? Thank you. And we'll move on to 4.2, residential developer.
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. One thing I did forget, CO report is ATCO had once again invited council to a supper engagement during the AEM convention. Again, I'll just plant that seed and we'll send out an email to you to see if you're interested in either something as a council together or for the convention or to take up the offer from ATCO and join them for an evening get together. So again, just to plant that seed for you. Just regarding 4.2 with the realtor developer engagement scope. So before you, council, is some information, and I won't go through the tie into your STRAP plan and some of the more finer details. But what the administration has done is drafted an engagement scope for council consideration. It is recommended for council to confirm the scope that meets your expectations. Administration will then continue on with that engagement logistics. Yeah, basically all the information is there for your consideration. I believe we heard the purpose, goal, some of the objectives, some of the areas of focus of administration regarding other work associated with your STRAP plan and a little bit with the housing some such things as, townhouse, the partnership for the 4 dwellings being developed in Hazelwood, the upcoming Southwest Residential Commercial Vision developments, stakeholder engagements, the MDP, of course, then tying in with creation communities areas, that Highway 54 assessment, which will come, a little more detail come to you, anticipate in the future. So yeah, just looking for council feedback on the objectives and the agenda, and just seeing if we're hitting the target based on your expectations.
Okay, can I please have someone make the recommended motion?
I move that council directs administration to organize a realtor developer landowner engagement to be held prior to June 2022.
Actually, I'll just get you to amend that, Councillor Harrison, that just the gray box, the engagement scope as presented, because we're a little bit late for June because we got held up because there's so many things going on. So if you just want to read the gray box, that would be perfect.
The council approves the realtor developer landowner engagement scope as presented.
Perfect, thank you. So does anybody have any feedback? Councillor Bates?
Yeah, I'm wondering if we shouldn't specifically put it on, because they're going to see this ahead of time, right? And it'll precipitate some thoughts. Specifically mention the Napoleon Meadows subdivision, because it seems to have kind of gone pretty quiet. And I know we initially did it at the request of builders and real estate to get bigger lots, and I think we should at least bring it up that we'd like their thoughts as to why it's not moving faster. Just my thoughts.
Okay, I would also wondering in the presentation to them if we would, I mean, it's not just about buildings, but it's about kind of the culture of the community, and we could have maybe a couple of slides or something in there about everything that's going on in this community with events and that kind of thing. It's kind of an overview of the town itself, and don't just move here because we have a nice townhouse. We move here because it's a great community to live in and all the things that we have to offer.
Yeah, I think, Mayor Council, that we're not giving you all the fine details and the dialogue, but that's the nature. It would be to go over through all the great work being done within the town, of course, council. Yeah, it's all that would be captured within a dialogue, anticipated with that engagement.
Okay, perfect. Anything else? No? Okay, then all in favor of the motion? Okay, great, thank you. And then we will move on to 4.3, the council action control. And if nobody has any questions, I will please have somebody accept this as information. Councillor Hysted.
Sorry.
I beat you.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept this as information.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any comments or anything? No? Okay, all in favor? Great. And then we will move on to the item that was added, 4.4, the federal election boundaries. Sorry, I wasn't sure who was going to. Yeah, so letter, of course, came from Mayor Wood yesterday with respect to Red Deer County's thoughts. We are to give a notice of representation by August 15th and have given Kara a little bit of dialogue that to go with that notice. But I also asked CEO Becker today if we could have a chat about this as council. Been on the back burner a little bit, and so we took some time this morning to kind of delve into it, and I really like council's feedback and some discussion about what we're looking for right now, the new proposed boundary, of course, is that Innisfail will get moved out of the Red Deer Mountain View district into Bow River. So you can kind of see the map on the left that Kara has up here, that we would be in with Brooks, et cetera. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Mr. Dreeshen told me on the weekend there's 44 municipalities within that Bow River constituency, so it's very large. And of course, you know, we don't have a relationship, so some of the dialogue that I've given to Kara to send in is really around our relationships and who we have trade with and commerce, and you know, when we have something we need advocacy for from our MP or some issues, you know, we want to have some commonality between our regional partners, and we don't have that with Bow River. So what we need to decide is, how do we draw this map so Innisfail is in where it should be? And in my opinion, that is with Penhold and Red Deer. So why this is happening, there's 3 new federal ridings that are coming to Alberta, and they've taken Red Deer, and rather than splitting it in 2, running along the river, they've put it as one whole riding. So our options may be request that Red Deer stays as 2, or if they're going as 1, then we're probably going to have to move into maybe something like Mountain View, if that's even possible, with Olds and Mountain View County and Didsbury Carstairs, but they're going all the way down into Canmore right now. And then in this new proposed boundary, they split Canmore and Banff, which is odd, I would say. So have spoke a little bit with Mayor Dahl from Olds, and of course, they're not thrilled with what's going on either. So I'm going to open it up to council and would like your feedback as to where you would like us to be as far as a federal riding. And I want you to also think about things as special events, Canada Days, all sorts of things. Are we going to have good representation, maybe from somebody who could be living in Brooks, as an example? Are they going to be driving 3 or 4 hours to come to our community and be part of our community and understand who our community is? So if anybody has any thoughts?
I have a
Councilor
question,
Mazeros?
Mayor
Yeah.
Barkley. So Red Deer has moved into 1 now? Proposed, okay. And how does Red Deer feel about that?
Well, my understanding from Mr. Dreeshen is Red Deer has wanted to be 1 because Lethbridge is 1, but I guess I haven't looked the numbers up, but I'm going to guess that the population around Red Deer is much more dense than it is around Lethbridge. So I think of Black Falls and Sylvan Lake and Lacombe and I think, you know, Mr. Dreeshen feels that Red Deer has been served well by having 2 MPs. I mean, Calgary has more than 1, Edmonton has more than 1, and, you know, Red Deer will grow to the point where they will have more than 1 if we're kind of maxing out at 119,000 population on ridings, 115,000, then it won't be long till Red Deer outgrows that again, so will they be splitting again?
Okay, thank you. So it's almost like moving backwards to combine them?
Well, I guess we just need to decide where we fit. So we can see the proposed
Yeah.
is where we are on the left. We can see on the right, that's where we are. But, you know, we're being cut out of this along Highway 590. So east of Innisfail and all of Red Deer County in that area are proposed to be moved into the Bow region.
Yeah. I just didn't want to propose something that would go against what Red Deer is wanting. But to me, it seems like a good idea, to go back to where we were with the communities that.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. So it's hard to see. So if Red Deer's now 1, where is Penhold and Sylvan Lake? Where are they ending up? What is,
Penhold's in with Red Deer.
okay,
And then Sylvan Lake is they're with Rocky Mountain House, I think, Kara, right? Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And the Yellowhead, I believe, is that riding, the name of that riding, Yellowhead.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess it is hard to see. It'd be nice to have the towns located on the map like they are on the right-hand one, but I'm assuming somebody's sitting there having pulled a computer mouse around and that captures a population, and that's how they created this, but,
Yeah,
because it doesn't, and I totally don't agree with it. And it's really hard to say, here's what we want to be, because I can't really totally figure out who else is in that pink ear, I'll call it, that sticks out
well,
below Red Deer.
you mean
and-
the proposed map?
Yeah, who all's in there?
Well, the map that Kara has up here, so there's Brooks.
No, I see all that, but what's in that little, if you just look at the little jut that comes below the city of Red Deer, right where it says Red Deer Mountain View, it's hard for me to exactly figure out the north boundary, the south boundary, and the west boundary
Of Red Deer or of us?
I think this area,
of us.
it's looking like Lake Glenfer Lake and Spruce View and.
Oh, it does pull up, it does pull up.
I just wasn't able to get it into the picture for
Yeah,
you guys.
yeah, it's big.
Oh, Bowden's in with us.
Yeah, Bowden's in with the proposed new area with us as well. So that's why Mayor Stewart has been brought into this discussion.
Have they intervened as well? Have they asked for status too?
They will be, yes. My understanding is they will be, yes. And it also breaks up Red Deer County, the proposal, into 4 different, I think, representatives from MP. So when I was on the website, one thing that the website did say as far as, presenting is what they take into consideration is within the communities of interest and our identity, historical patterns, and as well as, of course, of geographical size. So I think that's the thing that's kind of difficult to figure out. If we move Innisfail out of Bow River and back into someplace else, like what does it mean as far as population patterns? But I think the thing is just tell me where you would like to be, and then CEO Becker and I can kind of sit down at some point in the next day or two and kind of figure that out and have a chat with Mayor Wood and Stewart.
Mayor Barkley? I definitely like to see us grouped in with Red Deer, Penhold. I hope to see Sylvan Lake in there and that area to group us together up in that, because I mean, obviously, as you've mentioned, commerce and all those things, that's who we deal with. So that would, to me, be the most obvious choice. So I definitely support us requesting that we be moved into that grouping there.
Councillor Harrison?
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. I have a couple questions. The first one is sort of what is the cutoff for a boundary? Is it 119,000 and
They have, just pull up this other letter. I wrote notes down. So they're looking at, the largest that they have in the proposed boundary is 120,917. And then there was another boundary that it's 110,350. So they kind of look at a deviation of around 5% from, I think, 115,000 max. But I'm not sure, like pulling populations out of county districts, I'm not sure how that's done. So,
yeah, second point is I believe we should be in with Red Deer, and I look at this map, and to me, if the boundary was drawn at the Red Deer River, you see Innisfail, and you got the Red Deer River, you've got Glenifer Lake. What is that? That's the Little Red, okay. I shouldn't mark on my computer screen yet. But on the Little Red Deer River down to the south boundary there, it would add, and I look at, there's not that much population in that area. All we'd be doing would be adding Innisfail into the Red Deer, or and then come down Highway 2, Bowden, and straight across. Do you follow what I mean? Like you come down Highway 2 to just just above Olds there, then you come straight west to the Little Red, then the Little Red Deer River up, it's that wedge there. So you'd be adding Innisfail and Bowden into the Red Deer trading area. So I think that could be accomplished. It'd be interesting to know how much population increase over
Yeah, but
What the feds-
with a proposed boundary, Councillor Harrison, Red Deer, current proposed population, according to Red Deer County, is 113,731. And the riding they pulled us into, Bow River, is 115,970.
Yeah, well, I guess if, if the feds are saying that's the cutoff plus 5%, I don't know how we're gonna get the lines changed. I completely disagree with where the lines are now. I think we should be in with our trading partners within the Red Deer, and yes, there could be 160,000 people at the end of the day, or constituents. But I guess the question is, how flexible are the feds on where the lines are?
Yeah.
And I'm suggesting that we use the Little Red Deer east to Highway 2 up to that north boundary there and add that wedge into, at least we capture our trading partners in Red Deer, Bowden and Innisfail. The stuff that's west of the Little Red Deer, there's very little population, and that can either go into the Canmore or the Rocky Mountain House. And then the stuff east of Highway 2 can go into Bow River. That would be my suggestion.
Yeah, I would suggest even along 590, like that's,
Yeah.
those are
Yeah.
our trading partners, right? Our farm community along 590, so. Like,
Or we could come down.
The-
Wish I had a laser marker.
But the reality is, you want Innisfail to stay with Red Deer, right? Okay. Okay, Councillor Heisted?
I know Innisfail wants to stay there. What about Olds, and all those other regions, I think?
Well,
No,
they'll-
let me finish, please.
They'll look
So-
after Olds, yeah.
So what I'm saying is, what I was gonna ask is, what's the process, timing, and how do we challenge this in any way? Is there an opportunity for us to actually have a plan in place, time-wise?
Yeah,
That's my first question.
Yeah,
That's-
that's why we're having this discussion,
Yeah.
because we have to have something in by August 15th, and
Yeah.
then we pick a date. It will be in October, a virtual meeting, because all the other dates conflict with Alberta municipalities.
Yeah, and I agree that we'd be, we should be with Red Deer or even Sylvan Lake, wherever their map is. If we're gonna have to, draw straws or do rock, paper, scissors with the feds. But, it's insanity that they think that we have, a lot in common with Tilly and Acadia Valley, I think it was, and places like that. There's nothing, those aren't our partners, so. Yeah, no, I'm just curious on process. It doesn't make any sense to me.
And the one thing Mr. Dreeshen did say is, when we do present, really focus on what we want, and don't necessarily
So-
focus on other ridings.
Is there an opportunity to have 2 MPs out of the Red Deer areas, like with,
Well, that's what they have right now.
yeah, but, I guess adding us, to Red Deer.
But we're in Red Deer right now.
Yeah, I know, but, ensuring that we're staying there, that's the big thing that I think would be key. Or we're staying with Sylvan, I don't know how much, what kind of stick we have. That's the tough part.
Anybody else have any feedback? Or-
Just looking at the map, that whole little, I called it the ear that sticks out, is what seems to be out of place, and somewhere along the QE2 or just east of it, maybe some of those, maybe that little piece has to go into one and some into another, but that block just seems to be totally out of place to me, and if we could,
Are you talking, Councillor Bates, like the Red Deer Mountain view with where it's kind of part of the borders in black and the other parts in purple?
everything, for sure, everything west of the QE2
Yeah, okay.
is, it just seems
Yeah.
strange.
Well, and east too, it seems strange, right?
Well,
Like
you could
it's-
move it east a little bit, probably not hardly pick up any population, and that would make more sense.
So you would like us to stay with Red Deer is what I'm
Well,
hearing?
or
preferred.
even get divided into one of the other ones, but everything east of the QE, or west of the QE2 shouldn't be in that big pink block. So I don't know if we, you know, even if we were to stay somewhat flexible and say we could go south with the Didsbury Carstairs Olds group, or we could go north with the Penhold Sylvan whatever. It's just not right the way it is.
Yeah, yeah, and I know Red Deer County's perspective, of course, is east 590. They have a representative, and she's also west of the QE2, so she would be under two different MPs as well, so
And,
that's why
yeah,
they're trying to amalgamate into one as well, so. Yeah. Okay, well, Councillor Harrison, sorry.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. Just, I'd like to get out, what's this line here, Kara? This black line, what's that?
This here?
Yeah, go up and over, right there, yeah, that line there, what is that? What boundary is that?
That's an existing boundary.
So that's the existing Red Deer Mountain View boundary?
Battle River, that's over Battle River. That's Battle River Crowfoot electoral district name.
Okay, so if, maybe we could remove that current electoral boundaries? Thank you.
Do you want it the current one or the proposed?
No. If we were to add the Red Deer Mountain View to the black line, it'd be interesting to know what population we'd be adding.
Oh, from here to here.
Yeah.
I'm
to-
unable to do that here.
I don't even know, yeah. Because then that would take in your Innisfail, Bowden, would be with Penhold, Red Deer, south of 590 for, no? Well, 590 is the one, 590 is the purple boundary right now, right?
590 is a proposed boundary.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
proposed
so
boundary.
straight east on the purple line is 590 is a proposed
But-
boundary.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but with the black line, we would include the 590, right?
yeah, well, yeah, Councillor, I think what we'll do, what I'm hearing is we would prefer to stay with Red Deer, that corridor, if we can, is that correct? And
Yes,
We'll try to figure that out,
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah, thank you.
And I guess what I'm saying is, if we can't stay with Red Deer, we should at least stay with other
Yeah.
people that we're currently with up and down the QE2.
Okay, we'll figure it out, maybe, but, okay. Any further questions? CO Becker, anything? No? Okay, all right. Okay, thanks everybody for the input, and we'll move forward and bring more back to you as we figure it out. So we'll move on to 5.1, information on natural areas. And is that with Director Jenkins?
It is. Thank you, Mayor Barkley. So this is an information item in follow-up to a conversation council had a couple months ago, I guess, as well as in response to one of council's strategic goals being to ensure the identification and protection of natural and ecologically sensitive spaces within the town's parks and natural areas. So we just wanted to give council an opportunity to understand some of the relevant legislation around natural spaces, both publicly controlled lands and private lands, and then some of the ecological benefits and how natural assets are beginning to be addressed in things like asset management systems. So also in front of you, I just passed out a two-page sheet, which is actually out of our Dodds Lake recreation plan, which gives us a really good overview of where the different jurisdictions are with respect to public lands, particularly when we're talking about water bodies. So The beds and shores of natural water bodies are public lands and are subject to the Provincial Public Lands Act. So essentially, the areas directly around any of our water bodies to their high water mark are not subject to the regulations within the MGA, but are under the Public Lands Act, so we don't have direct control over those lands. Then we get into reserve lands. So reserve lands are municipal lands attained as part of subdivisions of private lands. So when property is subdivided, the municipality has the opportunity to claim environmental reserve, municipal reserve, and conservation reserve. So environmental reserve is lands that are described as swamps, coulees, natural drainage courses, areas subject to flooding, and 6 meters adjacent to any water body. So these are lands that basically come in under the municipal purview, and we are limited in what we can do with those lands. They have to essentially be left primarily in their natural state, but they can be used for public parks. So you can have benches, you can have access. The next sort of category of reserve is municipal reserve. So when a subdivision occurs, the property owner is required, based on the municipality requiring it, 10% of the area of the lands to be developed. And this is what we utilize for public parks, recreation areas, school board purposes, or buffer areas. So, for example, we talked a few weeks ago in the woodlands development area. So basically that parcel, you would take the total area. So say there's 80 acres less any land that would be dedicated as environmental reserve. So if there's creek or shoreline, that would be taken off of that. So say maybe you're down to 70 acres of developable land. We would be entitled to 10% of that land as municipal reserve. So 7 acres out of that 70 acres would be dedicated as lands that would be park space. It might be buffer areas between various uses. It could be for school sites if those have been identified as well. Once lands are designated as municipal reserve, there is a bylaw that would be required to be passed by council to remove that if there was ever a determination that the lands were no longer needed to be a park, and they were going to be either sold or developed for a different purpose. Conservation reserve is actually a new addition within the last couple years to the MGA. So these are lands that do not necessarily fit within the environmental reserve definition, but if the municipality feels strongly that they are areas that should be protected, they can request the designation of conservation reserve. However, the expectation is that these lands are purchased from the developer. They aren't just dedicated as part of that subdivision process. And then on top of that, within our land use bylaw, we have our public use district. So on the maps in front of you guys at your desks there, you'll see all the green areas throughout the community. Those are lands that are designated within the land use bylaw for public use. So essentially this covers all of our parks, recreation areas, and schools. And so we end up with lands within our community that aren't necessarily designated as environmental reserve or MR, but they are designated within the land use bylaw within that public use district. An example around Napoleon Lake, on the west side of Napoleon Lake, because subdivision has occurred there, there is a strip of both environmental reserve and then there's a strip of municipal reserve as well. Where on the east side where the park is, those lands are all they're not reserve parcels, they're just town-owned parcels of land. So in terms of protection of the lands, council basically has the ability to change whatever they would like through a bylaw process, be it through the land use bylaw or through a removal of municipal reserve designation. But those are kind of the different categories of land that that we end up with. And it's good to have an understanding, especially as we move through some greenfield development sites where we are gonna see new subdivisions and how they dedicate those municipal reserve and environmental reserve parcels. So again, I probably don't have to tell everybody the benefits of having natural spaces within our communities. There's sort of the environmental and ecological services that natural spaces provide in terms of improved air quality, storing and filtering of stormwater, biodiversity, habitat. There's also social benefits in terms of encouraging active lifestyles, improved mental well-being, safety, even when you talk about road safety and street trees and slowing people down, those types of things, as well as economics. So property values for those parcels that are located to natural spaces or located on streets that have street trees, those types of things definitely add to the aesthetics of the community. And then sort of the next topic that you may see come up, you know, at some of your conferences and things like that is natural asset management. So as we work through our asset management process, starting to inventory some of these natural spaces in the same way that we inventory hard infrastructure, I guess. One of the benefits, I guess, of natural assets are they're provided often at a lower cost with lower maintenance, and they're infrastructure solutions that don't depreciate in the same way that our pipes and roads do. And you know, this picture of Dodds Lake is a good example of a natural feature that also functions as a stormwater management facility in the community. And basically, natural asset management is starting to look at ways to quantify those services as we look for lower cost and more sustainable ways to manage our infrastructure. No, that's okay. You're good. So again, the strategic goal that council has identified with respect to natural areas, and we do have a few different ways that we can start to highlight that, particularly in our land use plans and policies, how natural spaces are protected and identified, and ensuring that we're requiring the greatest extent of environmental reserve where it's available, well-placed municipal reserve. One thing when developments come forward, often you end up with little buffer strips that get claimed as being MR satisfaction when really they aren't adding to the overall park network of the community. So ensuring that we have policies in place for how we evaluate those. Our engineering design standards are another option in terms of what we, what we require in terms of road standards, landscaping standards in public spaces. And then some of our parks practices. So I know our Parks Department has looked at different options for lower maintenance, plantings that don't require as much mowing, if any mowing, allowing some spaces to maintain more of a wild look. So they're needing less watering, needing less weeding, that sort of thing. So yeah, so really just if there's questions from council, it was kind of a follow-up item from some questions previously, and just an opportunity to understand the workings.
Thank you, Director Jenkins. So, like, what is the, I guess, the goal or moving forward? Like, are you were going to be incorporating this into a lot of things, and I look at things like maybe architectural controls in new developments, and we have to plant a lawn. Well, do we? And like, does that all get reviewed? And also, I'm curious about valuing the assets. I've seen where wetland is worth so much an acre, or trees are worth so much an acre, and the CO2 sink and all that kind of stuff. Like, is that something that you will bring back to us in time? And
yeah, so there's multiple sort of different moving parts that as we take this strategic goal and apply it to, whether it's our new MDP policies or engineering design standards, even when we look at things like we've been exploring carbon credits and what that looks like. So is that something, if we were to quantify all of the forested areas we have? Is that something that can be monetized as a carbon credit, and how can we look at those options? So really, there'll be a lot of different actions, I guess, sort of loosely associated with this larger goal. But yeah, hoping to educate council just on some of those different tools too that we have, and when we can require land, and what we can and can't control, particularly on private lands with respect to, trees and those types of things as well.
And when you look at, things like plantings in the community or green areas, et cetera, will you be looking at that from the perspective of what do we plant or what do we grow to support the ecosystem?
Yeah, and that's part of Parks' work too, with those, some of their naturalized spaces that they've been kind of pilot testing as to how they grow in terms of keeping weeds out, and reducing that maintenance, so.
Come to my yard. No.
The butterflies.
Well, thank you. Anybody have any questions about that? It's, Councillor Heisted?
Yeah, my question to you, Mayor Barkley, when you brought this up, were you wanting us, like, this is good information, were you wanting us to identify certain areas so that the public was aware of, how they're protected and that way, or is it just more for information?
I believe it's more for information. It was put on the agenda, so I think it's more for information, right, Director Jenkins?
Yeah, and I think there was a few different conversations at that meeting, whether it was the location of disc golf baskets and, how different spaces are managed. So even this with respect to that divide between public lands and actual municipal lands as to what can be done in the bed and shore along Napoleon Lake, and when you end up needing additional approvals in order to do any kind of work in those spaces.
Yeah,
So.
I think we've kind of talked about long-term protection of parks, like how do we make sure that park is here 100 years from now and doesn't turn into subdivision somewhere along the line.
Yeah, thanks.
So if I could just have somebody make a motion to accept Director Jenkins' report as information.
Mayor Barkley, I'll make that motion.
Perfect, thank you. All in favor? Thank you. And we'll move on to 5.2 with Manager Shaw and the property on 50th Street.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. This particular item has been before you a few times now, and so this functions as an update in terms of what has transpired since we last brought it to you. So once we had established what the market value of the property was worth, we did go back to the investor who was interested originally in this parcel. Unfortunately, he had decided that he wanted to move on to other potential deals that he felt were much more lucrative than compared to this particular one. So what we are is we're before you today to ask for direction from council on marketing this property based on a value of $49,900. Like I indicated, we did correspond with the investor a few times. We did try to get him to have his lawyer prepare a formal offer to the town, but that was all to no avail. So we feel that the value that we're putting on it now represents most of our return on this particular property, and we feel that it might be sellable at that price. But certainly then we can proceed and get it presented for other potential investors. So the motion that you have before you is that council directs administration to market the property with a list price of $49,900.
Okay, could I please have someone make that motion?
I'll make the motion that council directs administration to market the property at 4815 50th Street with a list price of $49,900.
Okay, thank you. Any discussions, questions? Councillor Bates?
Yeah, unfortunately, we never do really well, it seems like, on real estate, but the main question I have is at that number where I think other costs have been identified as mostly 48.7. And then further down where it talks about needing to move this valve for between 6,000 and 8,000. It's pretty nebulous to say that this could be done by the town or the purchaser. That, to me, and that's a 15% swing in the value. So I think we should, if we're gonna actually pick a number like 49, whatever, we should know what's happening with that 6,000 to 8,000. That's just kind of slushy, in my opinion.
Mayor and council, I think that gives you some flexibility from the standpoint, either we decide to do it and that's reflected in the pricing, or the purchaser is aware that, okay, this is something that has to be done. Perhaps not right now, but in the future, it will have to be done. And so that is disclosed at the time of sale of the property. But the 49.9, we believe, as I said, will recover the majority of our costs, and basically that's all that we're looking to do at this point. It's just to cost recovery.
Can you remind us what it was listed for before, Manager Shaw?
It was listed at 59.9 was the lowest it was listed previously.
Thank you. Councillor Heiston?
Yeah, no, I think this is appropriate number as to the, getting the deal done with the other additional costs. I think we leave that up to, you know, the town and the buyers. So that's how I'm looking at it. That property's been sitting there for quite some time at 59. I remember I checked on it just for the heck of it before I was on council, and it's not moving because it's in a really terrible position, you know, site, I think. I think there's opportunity there though for business as well as residential as well. Thanks.
May I ask, is that close to the appraisal price? Or is that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, because it doesn't say what the appraisal price is, but that's okay. All right. So we have a motion on the table. Is everybody in favor? Okay. Unanimous, thank you.
It wasn't unanimous.
Oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't. Did you have your hand up? No? I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Okay. So it's carried. Okay, and we will move into correspondence and information. Lots of correspondence this week. I just wanted to bring up number 3, Alberta Transportation Meeting at the Alberta Munis Convention. Is there any reason that we should be speaking to them about Highway 54, or is that looked after?
Megan, are you able to speak to what's the current status with Highway 54?
Yeah, the last, so essentially we're happy with Alberta Transportation.
No, that's
They
fine.
have agreed that they would entertain a pedestrian crossing and the speed reduction. The town will need to extend our trail connection from 60th Ave out to 50th, or out to Highway 54, and that'll all be part of capital budget for 2023.
Okay.
We'll bring that forward.
Okay, thank you, Director Jenkins. And then number 4, Central Alberta Safe Communities Walk. So I will be participating, and maybe we can send an invite out to council. Kara, and everybody is welcome to participate in that, I believe. And then your participation, this Go Small Canada, number 5, that came to me, I don't know, through LinkedIn or something, and so I don't know, we're kind of moving forward with a community economic development plan, and I'm not sure that we want to change directions here and get involved with this. I'm not really familiar with it, so.
Mayor Barkley, I did review it, and I know there's some other formats that have come through us. We communicate with the chamber. I'd certainly advise to, revisit those programs that have been formulated around COVID. I know Community Futures is slated to come back to us and have a conversation about advancing a program through them. It's similar but more localized, and that's where I would advise council, let's steer more local.
Sure, no, it sounds great, thank you. And then there's the Community Justice Center's engagement. CEO Becker, did you have any input on that, or?
Only reviewing the correspondence and information forthcoming, Mayor Barkley, on some engagements that are coming. We're anticipating to hear by the end of August of what those look like, and I'd certainly advise council to participate and understand what these are.
Looks like something for the Police and Safe Community Committee as well, potentially, or?
Potentially,
Yeah,
it
potentially,
likely
don't
is.
know. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, I think it's number 11. I don't have it on my list here, but the Town of Penhold Parade, so it was September the 10th. So they have invited anyone who would like to participate. I said I would, and everybody is welcome to come. We don't have to put a float in the parade or any vehicle. We can just ride with their float. So I think that would be easiest. So if anybody would like to spend a Saturday morning for an hour on September the 10th. Pardon?
Just asking what time.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, be there at 9:30 and the parade starts at 10. Yeah, I think that's it, unless anybody has any questions about any other correspondence on there.
Just a verbal one that just came in, council. You'll see that through an email, through Kara, just to follow up. But Equus, we had a conversation with them today, and they're having their grand opening and 75th anniversary on August the 22nd. It's a barbecue, 11:30 to 2:30, with the RSVP August the 12th. So again, just some alert awareness to your incoming emails, to respond back to Kara if you're interested in
Sure.
attending this barbecue.
Okay, thank you. And I also got a message on the phone just before council started. Reminds me, the police union representing the RCMP, somebody phoned and seemed to indicate that I would be willing to speak with them or on behalf of our community on why we're supporting the RCMP. Is that something we want to do? I know that we've made a motion in the past that we are supporting them, so, okay, thanks. Okay. So we'll move into council reports, and we will start with Councillor Bates today.
Okay, so, yeah, we've had quite a little break. And it's good to go first here. So I did attend a small bit of the skateboard competition at the end of June, and that was, I think, a very eye-opening function that park has brought to us, and I guess I would almost bet money that it will become something that's done again. The Stanley Cup event yesterday was nothing short of amazing, and like I said, it's nice to go first. But that's all. I'll leave it at that, and others can fill in some of the details. The Mountain View Water Commission, I know it says in the upcoming events that, and they always meet on the second Wednesday. They aren't meeting this month because it's one of they picked it as a kind of a vacation period. They still are having their golf tournament on August 25th, which now conflicts with the waste to energy. So I'm assuming that very few other council or staff would be interested. I will probably still go down there for a short period of time because I'm on the commission, and then not miss any of the waste to energy. I understand the Alberta Ministry of Culture and Status of Women, which is Ron Orr's ministry, is visiting Innisfail next Tuesday, and there's 2 stops that I'm aware of. One is the Discovery Wildlife Park, and the other is the Historical Village. So just mentioning they're coming, and I think through the village at least, the mayor probably has the opportunity to get involved, and I think that's underway. But we really don't know whether they're just out pre-election type thing, glad handing, or what they're up to. But those 2 facilities are going to get a visit. I believe the low-key skate park historical village barbecue occurred today. And yeah, I don't have a whole lot more. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hystad.
Thanks, Your Worship. I do have a question about I raised my hand, but we're already ripping through our the correspondence. I do have a question for Director Jenkins about the transportation. When things are going to change on Highway 54, what's the proposed speed limit? I'm just curious on that.
I believe when we talked to them last time, they'll still have to determine where signage and stuff goes. I think we're hoping down to 70 at that intersection point, yeah.
Do we know if there's going to be a crosswalk there as well, right?
Yeah.
Is that going to be lit up? Like, are we going to have...
My understanding is it would be something that would have lights, and also has the ability to pivot out of the way when there's large vehicles
trucks.
coming through there, yeah.
Okay, no, I was just curious because I think that will be a big item in the future for us. And, you know, I was on council when we put up the library one across from the library, and I remember us receiving some criticism for that. I think we spent around $40,000, and looking back on it, I think it was a great move because of the speed of, the way people travel. So that was a question I had. I think it's great. I just want to move on. That Mayor Barkley is going to speak at the RCMP thing, because the provincial candidates, only one candidate is in favor of the RCMP that I know of. So I think it's really important that we have a message out there on behalf of our community that we support the RCMP. I don't know if I put in, it's been so long since we've been around the table. I remember there's the Fortis lunch because I saw it. I was at the golf tournament, and it was a good tournament. We had fun golfing, and it was only 9 holes. Thank God, because I was terrible. And I had the power. I had this terrible glove that I have, golf glove, and it's like 5 sizes too big. So there was the power in the glove.
And forgot his putter.
Pardon me?
And didn't bring a putter.
I didn't bring a putter as well. It's it's confidence, but I had fun. It was a really good event. Actually, I do want to say that I was away, then I came back. I didn't check my emails, and I was talking to Dawn, and the village did have a meeting, and I was aware that Minister Orr is coming into town, and Dawn and I had a conversation just before council, and that Jean was made aware of Minister Orr coming into town, which is great. The village needs a lot of support in many ways, hopefully funding, stuff like that. Even though it may be an election time, it's an opportunity for the village to really show off all the great things. I also want to recognize, and I was at the Legion on Wednesday night with Dawn too. I'm not ratting them out, but Chase the Ace was over $5,200, right? So we had it was a good event at the Legion. And then Saturday night was wrestling. I went to the wrestling, and it was awesome. Yeah, I had a great time. So I want to thank Dawn and the Legion for putting that event on. And Stanley Cup, Gavin, you took all our thunder. So there, I think it was really nice that Ray invited us to that semi-private event, and it was really nice that he brought the cup to Innisfail. And it says a lot about him when he won, that he wanted to bring it back to town. And I also want to mention, best part of that was talking to Bernie Haley, when we were walking down, the arena. He's an old guy that's been around forever. He won an NCAA championship in 1959. So I didn't know that he won that, and it was really cool to get some hockey history of Innisfail. As to Norm, that was really sad news, and I want to thank the staff that are going to help out and look after, work with the family on a celebration. I had the privilege of working with Norm when I was 18 and 19 is with Parks, and I always got in trouble, and then they put me to the town tourist booth because I wasn't good enough to work for Parks. So, but Norm had a big heart, and I think he was about 4 years into his career. So that's my update. Thanks.
Councillor Harrison?
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. And first, I must say, nobody to blame last night on except myself. I did not follow up on my emails to the extent that I should have. I had stuck in my mind that it was strictly a family event, and I conducted accordingly. I wasn't part of the family, so I didn't go to that, and I apologize to council for not attending. I did attend the parade and some of the functions at the arena there. So again, I apologize for that. The last 2 weeks have been quite calm in my world. I've only been out walking about visiting with constituents, and I've heard positive and I've heard negative. And I guess some of the, just want to bring to the attention of Parks Division, those beautiful planters that are up on 54 or on 50th coming into town. Maybe the next person with a weed whacker can go by those and just trim up around them. We have a beautiful rock planter, we have plants in it, and then we have these sow thistles growing around the planters. We had some horrendous winds over the last week or so, and I go back to the request that and the discussions we've had around a tree management plan. And I really think it's valuable now, particularly with the species that we have in our town on public lands. There is balsam poplar, and I believe it's to the end of their life expectancy. And I think that this last windstorm indicated that. All the trees that came down sheared off were mostly black poplar. So I think it's something, if we haven't started thinking about how we're going to replace all these trees that were planted 40, 50 years ago, I think we need to start to think about underplanting in some of those areas. I'd like to ask Director Jenkins about I see 2 houses are coming along very nicely over in Hazelwood, and the other 2 we have basements constructed. Is there any plan on when they're going to start? And I guess further to that, have you heard of any potential bites on prospective buyers?
Yeah, so the 2 that are substantially further ahead are the True Line builds. The 2 other ones are the Abbey construction. I don't have an update as to their timelines or why they've kind of sat at that stage. We do have a conditional offer of purchase on one of the Abbey builds, so.
Okay, thank you, that's very encouraging. Just a question around Dodds Lake. That's classified as a stormwater management pond. Does that change the scope of a natural area, environmental reserve, or whatever because we've changed the use of that lake. It's not really a natural water body anymore.
It still is classified as a natural water body. We did go through that process with Stantec when we went through the Dodds Lake planning process as to whether the province considered that a lake, and they do.
Okay, thank you very much. And further, yeah, Minister Orr is coming. We got a call at the village on last Friday at around 10 o'clock from his EA stating that they would like to visit. The Municipal District Historical Society has made a short list. What that short list is, we don't know. Our president phoned, communicated with the EA this morning and had a number of questions, and I strongly suggested that she invite the mayor to that meeting, and I believe that invite's going to be coming shortly, the formal invite, Mayor Barkley, so plan on being seated with Minister Orr. We really don't know what the visit's all about, but we have a number of questions at the village. We've got an hour and a half of dedicated visit with the, and it's very seldom that you get that kind of focused visit with a minister, so we're preparing our list of questions for the minister and his staff. And I think that's about it. Mayor Barkley, thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Maceras?
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. Well, the only couple of things on my list. One is that I went to the Stanley Cup function last night, and as really not much of a hockey fan, I still found it pretty exciting, and it was nice to see Ray again. We went to school together. I'd like to ask, I'm not sure how to do this. I need to ask permission for a leave of absence. I'm going for surgery, and I will be here next week, but I'd like the 22nd, 29th, 5th, and 12th off for recovery, please.
Okay, I can make a motion, Councillor Maceras, that we grant you a leave of absence until, let's say, September 19th. Okay, and if you need longer, you can let us know.
Thank
Okay,
you.
and good luck with everything.
Thanks.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it for me.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Do you have to vote on the?
Oh, yeah, I guess we do, sorry. I wanted to get on with, no, just kidding. Yeah, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Yeah, good luck with that. I know you'll be jogging around town soon, right?
I'll be going in a grocery cart at AM.
And Councillor Dunham.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. I'm just recently back from vacation, so I don't have anything besides being able to attend the Stanley Cup function last night, which is wonderful to see. I think Ray making it such an important part of him bringing it back, I thought was brilliant, and to see all the smiling faces and the community involvement and people that had come from outside of the community as well, I think was wonderful. Not just to last night's, but at the arena as well. And I think, you know, for a lot of people that are big hockey fans, it's kind of a once in a lifetime thing to see that in person. So it was great to be there.
Okay, thank you. So last, I don't know, I think we've been here once in 3 weeks or something, haven't we? It seems odd, but was at the skate park event that Councillor Bates was at. It was a lot of fun to watch people doing their jumps and tricks and everything. Also, of course, the Equus Golf Tournament was a lot of fun, so thank you to Councillors Harrison and Heistad and Curtis for entertaining me. And of course, the big day yesterday with the Stanley Cup. So Kara, thank you. I know you put a lot of work into it. And I also want to say thanks to all the staff at the town. Sent an email out this morning to CEO Becker that you all saw that, you know, everybody was fantastic, and the feedback from the community and also from Brothers Bennett was tremendous. So I think it was a job well done, and certainly showcased the community extremely well. So on that note, I think actually I was just going to ask Mr. Hoffman, can you give us an update on projects? Well, I wasn't sure if I was to call him the engineering coordinator, Mr. Hoffman, or what, but.
Any projects in particular, or?
Well, I think just like the heliport and the sound wall and
Certainly.
what's going on with the rink and the playground, and
Absolutely.
thank you.
So, actually, Parks Department is drilling pile holes at the playground today and tomorrow, probably into Thursday. So that work is scheduled to start Thursday. I understand we're still looking for some volunteers, but it's set to go here later this week. The concrete at the outdoor rink will be getting poured, scheduled for Friday, weather pending. And then after a week of curing time and everything else, they'll strip the forms off and have it ready to start putting boards up a week after that. The sound wall, I'm sure most of you have driven by it to see what's going on. They've got a few dozen piles in place, and they're planning to start setting panels on Wednesday afternoon. And they'll have truckloads of panels coming from Calgary sort of every other day moving forward for the next 3 weeks on it. Border Paving is planning to be in town. They'll have some of their subcontractors in town again starting next week, and then late into next week and early the week after, we'll see a lot of pavement going down. The 50th Street Service Road, 52nd Street, and then 46th Avenue and 53rd Avenue carryover from last year should all be paved in the next 2 weeks as well. Helipad is moving along. sod was going down this morning, and we've got odds and ends left with it, the electrical work to finish, but there's a few inspections and just some procedural things that we need to get checked off in the next 3 weeks on it as well, but it's moving as per schedule.
And it looks great, so. Councillor Bates?
Yeah, just one question on the playground. Is that all, how much of that is done contract versus volunteer?
The supply of the material and the supervision for the install is a part of the contract, and then the actual labor itself to go in is the volunteer portion.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good. And open mic. Did you want to say something, Seal Becker?
Just
Yeah, no.
motion, Mayor Barkley, for the correspondence and information,
Yeah,
please.
sorry.
That's
See, I'm
good.
losing it. It's an hour into the meeting and I'm losing my train of thought, so. Okay, have somebody please make a motion for, accept the correspondence as information.
Mayor Barkley, I'll make that motion.
Thank you. And all in favor? Great, thanks. We'll now move into, is there anybody online, Kara, for open mic? Anybody want to say anything? Nope, okay, we'll move into upcoming events, please. I'll just have somebody make a motion to accept this as information. Councillor Bates.
Sure, I'll make that motion, and I've already noted that the one doesn't occur, the Regional Water Service Commission.
Okay, Director Jenkins.
And we did get an update from the chamber that the August 13th chamber event will not be taking place due to the damage out at the hail damage out at the jungle farm. So they'll be rescheduling for later in the fall.
Which reminds me, thank you. We know how bad the jungle farm's been hit, as many people in the area have, unfortunately. And I know Leona's kind of put out a request to letter writing campaign to some people that she's identified as far as kind of advocating to get specialty crops like strawberries into the hail insurance program. And I'm wondering if that would be appropriate for the town of Innisfail that we send a letter from advocating for that as well. I mean, they're, integral part of our community, as is the agricultural community that surround us. And I think it would be a nice gesture on our part if you feel that's appropriate, C.O. Becker. And
To me, it sounds like it would be appropriate.
Okay.
If that's your role of council, you can advocate for the community and
Yeah.
area for what you believe in.
okay, do you want a motion for that, or?
We would need a motion, please.
Okay, well then, I will make a motion that we send a letter of support on behalf of the Jungle Farm, advocating that for specialty crops to be included in hail insurance and bad weather programs. All in favor? Okay. Okay. And, sorry, did we have a motion on the correspondence? Or the future, the events? Yes, you did, yeah. And all in favor of that? Thank you. Okay, so we will now move into closed camera. Somebody would like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion that we move to in camera.
Thank you, Councillor Dunham. All in favor? Thanks.